Hi, I'm Angie and I want to show you how you can make chocolate at home without any fancy equipment. This is already part 4 of this series, so if you haven't had the chance to watch the video 1 to 3, go ahead and watch it first. Today I want to show you how you can temper chocolate at home. There are a couple of different methods and I want to show you 2 of them. There's tempering by hand or tabellering, and there's tempering by seeding. But before we get started with how you can temper your chocolate, I want to give you more explanations why it's important to temper chocolate. Tempering chocolate is essential to create a smooth and silky chocolate. If we don't temper our chocolate, it becomes dull. Sometimes you even see gray streaks or spots on your chocolate if you don't temper it. And this is called bloom. The cacao butter is separating from the cacao fat, and the cacao butter is rising to the top. And those are the spots or grayish lines you see. Not very appealing. That's why we want to temper our chocolate. Tempered chocolate produces the satisfying snap when you break it. Untempered chocolate doesn't do it. Tempering takes chocolate through a temperature curve that aligns the chocolate crystals to make it smooth, silky and shiny. In this video, we're only talking about dark chocolate. You can also temper milk and white chocolate, but they will have a different temperature curve. Let's take a closer look what tempering is all about. The cacao bean contains about 50% of fat, and this fat is also called cacao butter. The fat is super important for tempering, and that's why I want to take a closer look on the fat. What is it made of? It's made out of TGC, which means triglyceride. What is that stuff made of? That stuff is made out of a couple of different acids. The first one is palmitic acid. The second one is stearic acid. And the last one is oleic acid. If we combine those 3 acids with an alcohol, the glycerol, we get our TGCs. This is the oleic acid, the stearic acid, and the palmitic acid. And I would say this is the backbone, this is the glycerol. And then we have our TGC. And that stuff is important for our tempering process. Chocolate is polymorph, which means it can crystallize in 6 different stages. Which means the TGC can crystallize into 6 different stages. It's quite a big molecule, so it can fold and crystallize in different ways. And depending on the temperature, our chocolate fat will crystallize into the according stage. When we melt our chocolate, everything is melted and it's kind of chaotic. But if we go through the temperature process and get to this temperature, our chocolate will align and it will even shrink a little bit. That's the reason why you get your chocolates way easier out of your molds when you have proper tempered chocolate, because it will shrink a little bit and so it's easier to release. That's a little bit about the theory of tempering chocolate. Next step, I want to show you how you can temper chocolate. As already discussed, I want to show you 2 different ways. And the first one is tempering by hand. At first, you melt your chocolate, and I will melt in a water bath. I have a pot with water, and my chocolate is on top in another pot. Once my chocolate is completely melted, I will pour 1/3 of the melted chocolate into a bowl, and I want to keep the temperature around 46 degrees Celsius. The other 2/3, I will transfer them on my table or granite slab. We want to cool down our chocolate on our granite slab, and we do that while we're moving our chocolate with a spatula from end to end. I will show you that in a couple of seconds. And we want to cool down the chocolate until we reach 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. And then we want to transfer the cool chocolate back into our bowl and stir it until we reach 31 to 32 degrees Celsius. And then we have tempered chocolate. You can always, and you should always, make a little test. Use a knife or maybe a spoon and dip it into your tempered chocolate. Put it into your refrigerator for maybe 1 or 2 minutes. And afterwards you see if your chocolate is tempered. If it sets immediately and if it's glossy, shiny, and it does snap, then your chocolate is tempered. If it is not tempered, I would just start all over again. Melt it and then cool it down again with a spatula. Now that we have the theory, let's go on and temper by hand. This looks already pretty good, so I'm using a water bath here. Here's my water. It's already steaming. You just want to make sure that you don't burn your chocolate or that no water is getting inside of your chocolate. And to temper your chocolate by hand, you will need a thermometer. I like to use an IR thermometer, but you can also use something like this. Will work as well, but I just prefer to use this one. You will need some kind of spatula. So I have this one, but you can for sure also use something like this. You just need something to scrape your chocolate. I want to mold my chocolate into bars, so I also need some molds. But of course you can also just pour your tempered chocolate onto parchment paper and then just have something like a barred chocolate. So for me, I will also need this cup to measure out the chocolate for every single cavity of my molds. Oops. And you will also need a bowl and a knife. That's all we need for now. And now I'm moving the chocolate from the edges to the center until it reaches 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. Now we have reached our temperature, and I will make a temper test and see if it's tempered. So what I'm going to do next is I want to get all the air bubbles out, and also want to spread the chocolate more evenly. Now that I showed you how you can temper by hand, I also want to show you a little bit less messy method. That's tempering by seed. You need 2 bowls. You bring 1/3 of your chocolate into a separate bowl, and you will melt the other 2/3 again, and I will again melt in a water bath. But you can also use a microwave, whatever works best for you. But it's just important that no water gets into your chocolate and that you don't burn it. The other 1/3 of the chocolate should be finely chopped. After you melt a 2/3 of your chocolate, you want to add the chunks or seeds into your melted chocolate. And then you want to stir it until all of the bits has dissolved completely. And you want to reach a temperature of 31 to 32 degrees Celsius. This process can take up to 10 to 15 minutes, but then you have tempered chocolate. And again, you want to test if your chocolate is actually tempered. Use a knife, dip it into your chocolate, put it in the refrigerator, and see if it's shiny, glossy, and if it snaps. And of course, now I also want to show you how you can temper by seeding. Let's go over to our kitchen. I'm using the bars I molded before to temper by seed. And that's a huge difference between tempering by hand and tempering by seed. Because when you temper by seed, you need something like a starter kit. So you need already tempered chocolate. That's why I'm usually tempering by hand, because I don't have any tempered chocolate already right from the beginning. And that's also the reason why I want to show you the two methods. So here now we have tempered bars. I don't really care how they look. I just need the perfect aligned crystals. They're shiny, they're snappy, and we can use them for sure. What do we do next? We have our melted untempered chocolate here. 1/3 of our tempered chocolate needs to go into this bowl. 2/3 needs to be melted. I'm going to chop all of my bars, and I'm just using a bread knife. Okay, our chocolate is melted. We've reached the 46 degrees Celsius, and then we can add the seed. Just step by step. And now we have to stir for, I guess 10 minutes or so until everything is dissolved. We're almost done. Can't be that long anymore. Let's see. 33, need to cool down to 31 degrees Celsius, but most of the chunks are already dissolved. Okay, this is looking good. We reached our temperature. I'm dipping my knife and put it into the refrigerator. And then I will just knock out all the air bubbles. Our temper test is looking pretty good. It's shiny, glossy, and it snaps. My chocolate bars will be in my refrigerator for another hour, and then our chocolate bars are ready. Those are our second molds, tempering by seeding. Actually, I could have done a way better job with filling them. It is what it is. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. They shine. I love that. So I will not sell them or anything. That's why I don't care about the overflowing chocolate here. Nice. And they snap. Awesome. That is great. I love that sound. That's it. That's how you can make chocolate at home. In the next video, I want to show you where you can buy cacao beans or cacao nibs. And if you liked my video, hit the subscribe button and follow me on Instagram. Bye!